So welcome everyone to the August general meeting of the Oak Grove Community Council. We're happy to see everyone here. And as always, we'll start by introducing the board, and then we'd like to introduce newcomers. So if you're brand new to our meeting, then we'd like to know who you are. So my name is Valerie Chapman, and I'm the chair, and I live about a block and a half from, or maybe not that much, from the trolley trail on Evergreen Street. Mark?
Hi, I'm Mark Elliott, and I am the vice chair along with Valerie. And I live off of Concord Road between McLaughlin and River Road.
Rich?
Hi, Rich Niepont, and I am the secretary, and I live 3 blocks south of the Fred Meyers on Oak Grove Boulevard.
Jane?
Jane Civiletti, I'm the treasurer. I live on the corner of Oak Grove Boulevard and Fair Oaks.
So if you're a newcomer tonight, let me see, Bernadette, we'll let you introduce yourself when you present. Joyce, are you new tonight?
Oh, there we go. I've attended, 2 or 3 times maybe in the last few years.
Okay.
And I live on Gordon Street near Putnam High School. Joyce Johnson.
Well, we're glad you decided to come and join us tonight.
Yes.
Are there other newcomers? Jim, we're grateful to see you here as a presenter. I'll let you introduce yourself more when at the time when you're presenting, but we're really glad that you're here tonight. I saw Mitch. Where did he? There you are. Mitch, the mayor of Gladstone. You haven't been with us before. Would you like to say
Good
hello?
evening. I'm Michael Milch. I'm the mayor of Gladstone. Just here visiting.
Well, we're glad to have you too. Thank you. Okay, have we got all of our newcomers? Let's just go ahead and introduce everyone else. Pam?
I'm Pam Paran. I live at Roseville.
Sue?
Sue Cunningham, Parkview Circle and River Road.
Cindy?
Cindy Brown. I live at Roseville.
Welcome. Wayne?
Hi, I'm Wayne Potter. I live at Willamette Views on River Road.
Gwen?
I'm Gwen. I live on Evergreen, just near the trolley trail.
Tom and Jolene? And you're muted.
Jolene and Tom Hammond, we live on Viewcrest, which is, if you take Wallace off Thiessen, it just makes a left turn and becomes Viewcrest. You have no choice.
Great, good to have you. Tom?
Tom Hogan. We live in Oatfield between Concord and Thiessen. The house with the lamppost. If you're driving in Oatfield.
Anita?
I'm Anita Blackmar. I live on Fair Oaks Avenue.
Ricky?
I'm Ricky Schoenthal, and I live from Willamette View, and I walk the trolley trail a lot. And Valerie, I'd like to let Vicki and everyone know that it's Ricky, sorry, it is her 3rd meeting. So as of the next meeting, you are a voting member.
Hey, congratulations. Ben?
Hi there. My name's Ben Cheney. I live up on Briggs near Stillbury.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Dave,
Dave Toback. I live at Rose Villa.
welcome. Bob,
I'm Bob Bohannon. I live down on Laurie, right next to Rose Villa.
welcome. Heidi,
Yes, good evening, Heidi Bullock. I am technically in Jennings Lodge, but I am your close neighbor. I'm just south of Nave off of Rothie on Hillside, and I am the representative from the Oak Lodge Water Services Board.
nice to have you. Baldwin,
Yeah, I live on Neff Road, almost next to the Stringfield Park.
welcome. Jacob,
Hey everybody, Jacob Fuller. I live at Oak Grove and Rupert with Brianna, who's also here.
hey, and Brianna, do you want to say hello?
Hi, yes, this is Brianna. I live with Jacob over on Oak Grove Boulevard and Rupert Drive.
Great, nice to have you. We have Clackamas County Fire District Number 1, Station 3, probably a name there with a person, so.
Yeah, hi, I'm Damian Peters. I'm with Clackamas Fire. I'm the lieutenant on duty today, just checking in for you guys.
Great, nice to have you with us tonight. Well, good. So let's, if we've got everybody introduced, let's go to officer reports. Should we start with secretary minutes perhaps from last month?
Okay, the minutes from last month were included in the announcement for this meeting. If there's no objections, we can put them in as permanent.
Were there any corrections or changes to the minutes? No. Okay, approved as they stand then. Jane, would you like to move to the treasurer's report?
Yes, I would like to announce that we, since last meeting, had a personal donation of $50 into our treasury, and we had our first annual donation from the Oak Lodge Water Services Authority, and that has been agreed between them and our board. It will be an annual $1,000 contribution, providing that we do certain things like keep them in our newsletter and keep in touch. And that brings our total with no expenditures to $2,369.94. Thank you.
I'd like to also qualify that that's an agreement, a contract we have with Oak Lodge Water Services for 3 years. So it's a 3-year contract. I would just like to point out that we have 4 board members here tonight. Joseph is not with us tonight, but we do have 2 open positions on the board. And so if you are a voting member and you feel moved to be part of our board, please contact us. Be very happy to have a conversation with you about what that might mean. So, and also just to note that the board has we do hear from people that it would be much easier to meet in person. And we keep going through different facilities and trying to find a place that will work for the kind of meeting that we need to have. So in person. So we're still working on that. So with that, I'd like to turn to Bernadette Lee, who is with TriMet, and Bernadette, I'd like to invite you to introduce yourself as you start.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Valerie. Hi, everyone. My name is Bernadette Lee, and I'm a community affairs coordinator with TriMet. I have a presentation, so let me pull that up. So I am working on the Park Avenue Garage Expansion project, and my coworker Paulina joined your group back in May, and I appreciate the opportunity now to share an update on what has happened since that May meeting. So through this project in the coming year, we will begin adding 2 additional floors to the garage and approximately 330 parking spots. It is work that was deferred during the original Max Orange Line project due to budget constraints. And we expect as our ridership continues to rebound after the pandemic, that the additional parking will be needed at this location. Also, the Orange Line project came in under budget, so we had a unique opportunity to use some of those leftover funds to complete this deferred work and make it easier and more convenient for our riders to access transit into the future. So here's a vicinity plan map of the where that garage is. It's at the corner of Park Avenue and McLaughlin Boulevard. So since the last time the project team presented to your group in May, we hosted an open house at the Elks Lodge in June. And at that open house, the team presented 3 different design options. The team heard some support for elements in each of the 3 designs, and there really wasn't a clear winner or loser in any of the designs. So for that reason, the team is looking at a combination or a hybrid of the 3 designs. And the design they are looking to move forward will both honor the original design by still having vines on the structure, while also making adjustments that reflect some of the lessons that we've learned over the past few years since we built that original garage about some of the maintenance, safety, and security challenges with the vines. So this image shows the direction the team is taking on the north-facing side of the building. The runnel system is extended to the top floor, and the design adjusts the mesh paneling of the vines from a single large panel to having some gaps in the panel. And this will allow our maintenance staff to be able to reach out and trim those vines more easily. And the design team's plan is for the reeds to remain at their current height, as extending them is cost prohibitive. Next, we'll take a look at the west-facing side of the garage. So the direction the designers are taking on this side of the garage is a facade that is a mix of Core 10 panels, and Core 10 is a weathered steel material that will have a design perforated into them, as well as panels for the vines. So this combination of panel types allows there to be some panels that will have vines all the way to the top of the garage, while also there being less area for our staff to maintain. The width of the vine panels on this side also provides enough space for our maintenance folks to reach out and trim those vines. And the Core 10 will create another unique design element on the garage and provide some visual barrier while also being low maintenance for our staff. Just for your information, that Core 10 material isn't shiny or reflective. It's more of a matte finish. Then traveling around the garage, finally to the south and east facing sides, the direction the design team is looking at this side is matches the current existing building design and adds medallions on the columns of the new floors. On the west edge of the south side, past that bridge, you can see that there are a few of those vine panels added onto this side as well. So that was kind of wrapping around the west side and then over to the south side over here. And just for your information, this rendering is actually based on a picture right from when the garage was initially built. So some of these, the trees look quite small, and they've actually grown quite a bit since that picture. So the design process started back in the spring and will continue through early 2024. This part of our timeline includes the planning and permitting process. And it is our understanding that at some point during the land use process that there will be a county design review committee meeting, and folks that live near the garage will be notified by the county of that. This could happen as early as next month, but we really aren't sure how fast this process is going to go. So we just wanted to mention that, let you know. We are expecting construction for this project to last approximately 11 months. With that occurring between spring 2024 and spring 2025. And a few things about construction. We are planning to keep the garage open during construction, but we do expect that there'll be a couple times for like a week or two that it will need to be closed. And when the garage is closed, we will provide other places for riders to park, such as the Tacoma Park and Ride and possibly the Elks Lodge, so that rider parking will not spill over into the neighborhood. I would be happy to come back and talk more about this plan when we have some more information about that. And then I've also heard from our construction crews that they will need to stage some equipment on site when they're doing this work. This may result in some temporary impacts to trees in those staging areas. And our contractor is required to restore staging areas, and that includes impacted trees. So this is part of our process and the process that we require for our project. So our team is working with them to develop a plan for the trees that end up being in those staging areas. Once again, this is kind of a work in progress, so I don't have any details on exactly what that plan is, but I'd be happy to provide more information when it's available. So I don't want to take up too much time in your agenda. I do really appreciate being able to come here and provide this update. And here is my contact information if anyone wants to follow up with me.
Thank you, Bernadette. Are there any questions for Bernadette at this time from anyone who is here tonight? Ben, you had a...
Yeah, thank you for the information and for presenting. I was curious if there are any capacity or sort of like safety or other kind of maintenance feature upgrades planned for the bike and ride portion of the building.
We are not planning any changes to the bike and ride through this project.
Thanks.
Thank you for the question.
Any other questions? Well, thank you, Bernadette, for coming and giving us an update. We'll look forward to having you back if anything changes, and we thank you for giving us your contact information.
Perfect. Thank you for making time for me.
Sure. At this point, we'd like to introduce Jim Austin. And Jim, I'll let you do a further introduction of yourself. And I did give you the ability to share your screen. So hopefully that worked.
Yes, thank you. Once I've unmuted myself, we'll see what happens. I'll try to share my screen. I'm at the county offices. I thought my badge would work. If in the Oregon City Police Department comes in here and takes me out of here, apparently my badge doesn't work, and I went out to use the restroom before the meeting, and the door alarm is going off. You can't hear it, but it's off in the distance. But if something weird happens and you see me getting tackled, I might pull out my headset and my mic and ask you all to vouch for me if you would be willing to do so if something weird happens.
Okay.
Okay, I will try to share a screen. Can you see the screen?
Yes.
It should say Mount Hood territory on it. 1 second.
We can see it perfectly. So
great. And now let me go to full view. Well, okay. I thought I could see. I had one slide with notes on it, and 1 second here. Okay, there we go. Oregon's Mountain Territory, a green screen. Excellent. Okay, thank you. So yeah, I'm Jim. I'm with Clackamas County Tourism. I'm actually We're a small county department. Our visitor facing, so we're basically a destination organization. In the industry, we're referred to as DMOs, destination marketing organizations. That's sort of changed now. We're sort of destination marketing and destination management organizations, because it's as much about managing your destinations as it is about marketing organizations. Visitor facing wise, we brand ourselves as Oregon's Mount Hood territory, because for most of the territory, Mount Hood is a prominent feature in our viewscape. So, and it's a little more, when you're trying to talk to potential visitors, it's a little more enticing to say, hey, why don't you come to Oregon's Mount Hood territory, as opposed to like, hey, come visit Clackamas County. Because if you ask your kids if they'd like to do that, they'd probably say, we've got homework to do. We've got to, clean our closet, whatever. So our visitor facing, that's our website, mthoodterritory.com. There's a lot of information on there, not just for visitors, interesting story ideas, things to see and do, calendars of events. So in your downtime, check it out. A lot of information there. Most of what we do is it's not just marketing, but it's storytelling. It's telling the story of our partners that are here, the sites that are here, etc. Our operations are funded by the county's transient lodging tax. It's a 6% transient lodging tax. It was voted in by a vote of countywide. So it's a countywide transient lodging tax. It was voted in by citizens of the county in 1992. And that applies to all lodging fees that are collected in unincorporated and incorporated portions of the county. There's a multi-layered transient lodging tax and tourism promotion structure in Oregon. I'll explain that a little bit more, but it again applies to all hotels, motels. Should apply to short-term rentals. It does if you're managed by a property, but there's those platforms like Airbnb. That's a compliance issue that has been elusive for a while. And then the charge of the tourism, and then using those funds to do tourism promotion and development is the charge of the Tourism Development Council. And they guide the work of professional staff, myself included, here in the department. So I'm sure I can breeze through this pretty quickly, but most people know how transient room taxes, they're sometimes called transient room taxes, sometimes called transient lodging taxes, sometimes called hotel taxes, but they really apply to, like I said, dorm rooms, campgrounds, except federally managed campgrounds, because the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution, we can't tax federal stuff. Interesting side note there. So visitors pay the lodging tax when they book accommodations to stay. That gets paid to a hotel, motel, vacation rental, property management company, etc. And those different layer of taxes, there's a 1.5% transient lodging tax that gets paid to the Department of Revenue. Cities and counties are allowed to have their own transient lodging tax for their own tourism programs, and then those get paid to those respective jurisdictions. Here in the county, it goes to the finance department, and they administer those funds. The ordinance that the voters passed dictates how those revenues are distributed. For handling the tax, lodging operators are allowed to keep 5% for their administrative burden of collecting and remitting the taxes. 2%, and again, this is all in the ordinance, 2% goes to the county finance department for their managing the tax program. There was a set amount in 1992 when it was passed. I think it was set at $250,000 that goes to the county fair, and that's adjusted every year to account for inflation. I think it's up to just around $500,000 a year now that goes for the county fair's operation and maintenance of the facilities there. And then after that, the remainder of those funds are transferred to a special, not a special account, but just a dedicated account that's managed to the tourism, that's directed by the Tourism Development Council to implement our tourism master plan, which is what we operate under. This is very geeky, boring stuff, but if a lot of people don't know about it, so hopefully you find it interesting. Just systems that are in place that most people don't know about. As I said, our work is guided by a Tourism Development Council that's made up of industry representatives. We have some lodging representatives, some heritage representatives, some recreation. We have a lot of recreation here in Clackamas County in the territory. half of the county is owned by the federal, the U.S. Forest Service with the Mount Hood National Forest. A lot of whitewater recreation activities, camping, skiing, etc. So we have some rec operators in there. Yeah, and those folks are appointed by the Board of County Commissioners, and we are a county department, but we sort of operate under a MOU, memorandum of understanding, between the Tourism Development Council and the Board of County Commissioners, because they have been charged by ordinance to direct those funds. And we operate under a master plan that's approved by the Board of County Commissioners, and then we have what we call our strategic priorities that we update periodically. Things change, so that's sort of the finer points of how we operate. But we also have our vision and our mission statement. You can see our mission statement there is, to enhance the quality of life for residents by optimizing the economic impacts of the tourism industry derived from the county's transient lodging tax. And our vision is to grow and sustain tourism in the county through effective marketing and asset development and building strong relationships and industry development of our partners. And through all of what we do, we call it our VERP. In all of our, when we look at projects we're going to fund, the programs we operate, the programs we offer partners, we look at everything through the VERP, the VERP lenses. Because we are a tourism organization, we look at what we do from the lens of a visitor, through our residents, through our partners, which are lodging partners, restaurant operators, people who have wineries, distilleries, tour guides and operators, ski area operators, heritage partners, arts and culture partners, and then place too. We have a strong, we don't want to degrade the place that we're promoting. Many of us live here, so we have a sustainability lens that we look through whenever we do projects. And in that larger, I think I mentioned so our place in the Oregon tourism universe, there's an entity called Travel Oregon, and their work is guided by the Oregon Tourism Commission. And they mostly operate at a 45,000 foot level. They have, I don't know if any of you, probably many of you have heard of the advertising agency in Portland called Wyden and Kennedy. They've got deep pockets. That's their ad agency. So they they contract with Wyden and Kennedy to promote the state on a national and international level. And then they also operate 7 regions. They get their funds, and they've divided the state into 7 regions that sort of makes sense. There's the Oregon Coast region. I don't have a map of that, but there's the Oregon Coast region. There's the Portland region, the Mount Hood Gorge region, which is like Troutdale, Gresham, Cascade Locks, Hood River, all the way out to the Dalles, comes up over the mountain, goes to Government Camp, and then goes into Estacada. So that's the Mount Hood Gorge region, Eastern Oregon, Southern Oregon, Central Oregon. They have as directed by state statute, as our county ordinance directs how we use our funds. The state law directs that Travel Oregon uses a portion of their funds for competitive statewide tourism grant programs, and then also to send money to those 7 regions that are sort of collaborative efforts from partners within each of those regions. They contract with an entity that serves as a coordinator on a 2-year basis, and act as a fiscal agent to develop and implement tourism action plans that sort of pulls partners together, so everybody in an area is sort of rowing in the same in the same direction and to the same pace. We are Clackamas County is weird. We're actually in 3 of those regions, kind of equally. We're in the Portland metro region. We're in the Hood River Gorge region, which is our mountain region, and then we're in the Willamette Valley region. But in a way, it actually works out really well for us because the county is kind of 1/3 urban, 1/3 valley, rural, agricultural, and then 1/3 mountain. So that just means that we have 3 regional cooperative programs that we also work with. So we get to tap into those, and the flavor and offerings of the programs they run fit those areas. So we're able to leverage those efforts and those dollars that are there. So It's a lot of collaboration because we got to coordinate with partners in each of the 3 regions, but it works out, I think, to our benefit. And then, as I said, there's local transient lodging taxes. So we have a county-wide transient lodging tax, and that's county-wide, so it's in urban and unincorporated. And then we work closely and partner with our cities, Milwaukee, Travel Oregon City. Oregon City has a transient lodging tax. West Lynn, I think they do, but I don't think they have no hotels. Wilsonville has a transient lodging tax, so they run a program as well. Olalla. So it's just a lot of coordination in addition to coordinating and partnering with our city partners. We work with our tourism and hospitality businesses. They're our partners, state, federal, and local land management agencies. We work with stewardship organizations. We Love Clean Rivers runs river cleanups down to Clackamas, and they do cleanup activities on the Willamette as well. And we work with our heritage and our partner organizations. So it's a lot of coordination to try to leverage the various programs and funds that are available up and down the stream. A sip of water. So 1 second. So why we do it? Tourism Matters. Basically, we're kind of like an economic development department, but with just a focus on the leisure and hospitality, tourism and recreation industry. And it's a program we're basically using funds from visitors who come here and spend those they're spending their dollars, but they're also paying transient lodging taxes. And we're using those funds to try to enhance, improve, create more assets within the county for our visitors and our residents. So it's like we're using other people's money to bring more business to our business partners, create improvements and more opportunities, recreation and tourism and opportunities here within the county. and that supports our mission of a quality of life for residents and optimizing the economic impacts of the industry, and then growing and sustaining tourism. And and quality of life, it's a great place to visit, is a great place to live and work. So they all overlap. In areas of the country where people don't want to live, generally people also don't want to go there. So we sort of keep track of this. We did a sustainability assessment with George Washington University back in 2019. We did a resident survey that found that 85% of Clackamas County residents see tourism as a positive economic impact in the county. And then we did a visitor survey or resident survey in 2022. No, this is our business partners survey. We asked, has visitor spending increased in your community? Most of them said yes. Has visitor spend increased in your business? Most of them said yes. By the way, we are renewing. That was the first in reference to that 85% and that resident sentiment survey or resident survey. That was 2019. We see the value in surveying and getting input from our residents, so we are going to build that into a regular routine cycle, something we're going to do. So that number, I realize it says 2019, but we are going to come out with a new one soon, and I'll share that. We'll probably share that with PGA, and they can share it with the community involvement organization to spread the word out there. And then there was a recent Travel Oregon, again, because they have deep pockets. They do, I forgot the entity that they contracted with, but to do a visitor profile study of U.S. travelers to Mountain Territory again. So that's Clackamas County. So there's just some infographics about that came out of that visitor profile study. 45%, and this was just at the earlier this year. 45% come here for business and leisure. 28 to visit friends and 28% to visit friends, family, and relatives. 7% for business, 20% for other. So it's probably a mix. And then that next slide is regions visited. So if they came to our area in that survey that was done, 85% of them also went into the greater Portland area. We get some information on lodging types. And And then as you can see, the visitor type, 86% is repeat visitors. So if 45% of those are for leisure or visiting friends and family, we get 86% repeat visitors, which is pretty good. And this is average length of stay, some average daily spends, what they spend their travel dollars on while they were here. And then down here is a key satisfaction ratings. So what did I say? 86% were repeat, and 97% overall had a positive key satisfaction rating with their trip. And again, that's here in Clackamas County. So it is a nice place to live, and it is a nice place to visit. It's true. So how do we do what we do? We have two programs. We have marketing, and then we have our development team. I'm on the development team, but let me get to my printed off sheets because my slide with notes is not showing. And I'm trying to be mindful of time. There we go. So our marketing team, they do that through what we call earned and owned PR. Owned PR, owned is our social media channels, our website, any of the assets that we have to reach visitors. And then paid media coverage is purchased media coverage or paid advertising. We work with local chambers. We've worked with the Westland, Lake Oswego. Well, that was the Business Recovery Center, but it's made up of the chambers to promote their, buy local, shop local, eat local dining programs. We promote those on our social media channels. We also boosted their programs with some paid media coverage. Our marketing and PR team, they'll pitch story ideas to local, regional, and national and international media to get information about the area and get coverage for our partners. They'll respond to media callouts. Sometimes Travel Oregon will get a call out from a publication saying, or a writer, a travel writer, or a journalist, we're doing a story about usually something unique, because unique sells. And that, again, that's what we do, is we're telling stories. We're not just marketing. Like if you're just sending ads about like, stay here, it's cheap, here's a deal, that doesn't necessarily move people to visit. So sometimes we'll get call outs for like, we're doing bakeries or vegan bakeries or women-owned distilleries or something. And if we have a partner that's in the area, fill in the blank, whatever the story is that they're trying to get somebody to write about. If we have a partner in the area, we'll pitch that idea, or we'll pitch story ideas proactively to media to get coverage. We'll host travel writers and social media influencers. So I don't know if any of you follow a social media influencer on Facebook or Instagram. They'll have 50, 90, 150,000 followers. So, or travel writers, if you've ever followed somebody who's a travel journalist, Rick Steves, for instance, you feel like you have a relationship with them, you know them, you trust them, you like what they write about, you like the recommendations they make. So we'll host media here. We'll bring somebody in, we'll cover their accommodations, we'll set them up with, if they want to go rafting, we'll set them up, they can go rafting with somebody up on the Clackamas. If they want to go skiing, we go skiing. If there's a winemaker's dinner, a farm to table dinner that's happening and it's in summertime, and we'll book that. We just bring them in and they'll write about it. And then that content and what they write goes out on their blogs, in their articles, on their social media channels. And it's relatively, if you're purchasing advertising is kind of expensive to purchase. But just covering a trip for a travel writer is pretty good lift, because you have an invested group of people who follow their content and what they write. So we'll host media. And then we also have a discounted, we have what we call our co-op marketing program. So we'll buy larger blocks of advertising because we can afford to do that. And then we will sell those to our partners at subsidized rates, or just to get coverage, because we're able to do that. And or if it's a light group of partners, like our agritourism partners. We have the farm loops, so multiple, where you can go out, you could go to the farms, visit the animals. If you like doing that at one place, you'll probably like another one. So maybe we'll pull together an ad for our agritourism partners in the area and have multiple partners in there. So there's a lot of ways that it's digital, it's print, it's broadcast media. We have really good relationship with coins. So we've had some segments locally about rafting up in the Clackamas. We did a lot of and promoting what there is to see and do in the SK area. We did that a lot right after the fires because that community was really struggling. After the fires, people couldn't go up to the corridor, but there's still a lot to do up there. So we were helping. We have funds and we have relationships that we're able to leverage to promote some of the undervisited areas of the county. And that's our goal, is to actually rise all boats across the county. It's that economic prosperity thing mission. And so that's our marketing team. And then the destination, on the destination side, so we work to increase the number and diversity and quality of visitor experiences available in the county: recreation, arts, culture, etc. And that's for both residents and visitors. We'll coordinate with our communities. Again, I showed you that slide. Wilsonville does tourism, is involved in tourism promotion and tourism development in the area. So we'll work with them collaboratively on projects whenever we can. We did a project this last summer with, we applied to Travel Oregon to do a destination assessment of Molalla and find out what project we could do to draw attention to Molalla and bring more people there. So they came up with it was selected. We came in, we did an assessment. We worked with their economic development department, some of their business representatives, and some of the people on their arts commission, and came up with an activity map and activity guide for not just the Molalla area, but the surrounding Molalla, not just Molalla proper, but the area, and then up in the recreation corridor. We created we have a heritage trail. Again, it's like that. Well, I'll start with the we have a tap and wine trail. So we have some local brewers, wineries and cideries. So it's our tap and wine trail. So we created a brochure and an app that people can, if you visit so many of our, local cideries, local breweries, local wineries, sometimes we'll run contests where people can, demonstrate that they visited so many sites, and then they can get a prize, or they'll get a gift card or something. Or and we've also done that with we've created a heritage trail. For this fall, we're creating a harvest trail, again, to visit those agritourism partners. And it's seasonal, so it'd be the pumpkin patch season, when a lot of people are thinking about going to pumpkin patches and doing corn mazes. So by pulling together a bunch of partners into one sort of program that we can focus on, we can promote all of that. We conduct FAM tours to promote the area. A FAM tour is short for familiarization tour. We actually have one planned up in the Sandy Boring area next week. We'll contract with a local tour bus. We'll invite hotel and motel staff, concierges from hotels from around the area, both within Clackamas County and then downtown Portland, visitor center staff, chamber staff, PR entities. We have some people from travel who do public relations for Travel Oregon. We have some people from the Welcome Center at the airport for Travel Oregon's Welcome Center. So we'll basically bring them on a bus. We'll put together an itinerary. We're going to bring them out there. We're going to have lunch somewhere. We're going to visit some local partners. We're going to do some activities and just spend a day. The idea, again, I mentioned earlier, it's about telling stories. So we have all of those frontline visitor staff that interact daily with visitors who come in, are looking for a brochure, are looking for a map, and they're like, oh, we're going to go. And they're like, oh, hi, where are you going after this? I'm like, oh, we're going to go up to the South County or something. Am I still there? Oh, somebody needs to be admitted. And, what is there to do there? Well, we can have little printed maps and lists of things to do, and we can send newsletters, or we can bring them out for an experience, because a picture is worth 1,000 words, but an experience is worth 1,000 pictures, and it's more memorable. So again, that's a FAM tour or familiarization tours. We run some grant programs for projects in the county for to improve sites. We provided some funds to the National Forest Foundation, which is
It's showing it on.
the funding, sort of the nonprofit side of the National Forest Service, to rebuild some of those campgrounds that were burned during the fires that were up there. Right now, there are no campgrounds, there are no trailheads, everything's burned out. So we have some grant programs for tourism assets, increasing non-motorized access sites in our waterways, etc. We have an event sponsorship program for visitor-facing events, not necessarily community events, but something that a visitor might likely go to. And then we're constantly, we sort of have this running list of like long-term projects. Some projects are phased. Esticade is looking at doing a waterfront. They've got that slow water, that lake area that's right off of downtown, and they're looking into doing a lakeshore project there. That's a multi-phase project. That's going to take years. So they've got to do design and engineering, and then build. That's going to take years. So we have that list, and we're always looking for other grant programs. The Oregon State Marine Board has some water access grant programs. So we're always keeping track of those other those funds that are from other sources, and trying to match this up with our partners who have long range projects to try to pull them closer to the finish line or pull them over finish line. So we actually have completed projects. And then we basically do partner support and development. We'll do scholarships and scholarships for our partners to go to conferences. The Oregon Restaurant and Lodging Association has their annual hospitality conference. We have a pool of funds for people to reach out and like, I would like to go to the conference, but really can't. So we'll offer a registration scholarship for the conference registration. Some of our Main Street program partners who those programs sometimes don't have a lot of pockets. There's a Main Street conference, so we're like, hey, reach out to me. If you go, we'll cover your conference registration. So that's how we support and strengthen the industry. And I don't know, I made this slide. This is a slide that just keeps popping in. I think I made this for a presentation around Thanksgiving time, and I had pies on the mind. But in my mind, and I always need like an analogy. So in my mind, marketing basically works to sell the pie, and then development works on making bigger pies, making different pies, bundling different pies together to make pie packages. So I think that slide came from a presentation I put together in November. But with that said, more isn't always better. It's not just about pumping more visitors to the area. We work on what we call broadening the shoulder season. So there's peak visitor seasons. For instance, on the Oregon coast, right? The Oregon coast goes through a recession every year. It's called winter. And so what they want to do is they want people to come, so on the Oregon coast, they're like, come in spring, come in fall, come in when it's not nice. So broaden the shoulders out to make, spread out the economic, give some predictability to their business partners, infusion of funds into local economies. Some examples, we don't need to promote Mirror Lake. I don't know if you've gone up to Mirror Lake in the summertime. We don't need to promote Mirror Lake. And the Forest Service is like, do not promote Mirror Lake in the summertime. The trailhead is packed. It's already there. We don't talk about it. So what do we talk about? If you're going to go up to the Mountain National Forest in the summertime, try this trail or try this waterfall. We try to disperse the high impact areas to reduce the impacts. We did a project recently with our partners and again with Travel Oregon up in the mid-mountain, those the villages up there to address leakage. The mountain gets, we don't promote skiing in the wintertime. You really don't need to promote skiing on mountain in the wintertime, particularly on the winters. So the messaging we do is try going skiing midweek and don't just run up there and ski and then run home. Stop by, have dinner, in the time you're going to save not sitting in traffic, going up and down the mountain on the weekend. If you go up on the weekday, stop by, have dinner somewhere, patronize one of the local businesses or stay up there. So that's another sort of county parks has a problem with when it gets hot out, everybody wants to float the Clackamas. And if you've tried to get down that road in front of Barton Park, when it's 105 degrees, it's a traffic jam. So they're like, you as an entity, you guys are really good at reaching people, getting messages out and reaching people. Can you help us with this? We have traffic congestion problems. So to be clear, we don't promote floating, but we have a page that's dedicated to alternative floats. If you want to float, try going here, float this section instead of this section, to try to, again, to sort of mitigate some of those over visited areas. Most people who are floating aren't really visitors. They're usually local regional areas or local residents who know about it. So we created again some alternative floats and some safety tips for floating the river. And then we did some targeted social media. If it pops up, if you've ever seen it, it's, alternative floats float here, but we targeted. You can do a lot of things with digital marketing. You can really hone in on like the message that you're trying to send to where people are. So that just goes to people who have pinged, their cell phone signals have pinged in the area. They've Googled maybe they've Googled floating Clackamas, so they're on their phone and it pops up. I had it pop up on my phone a couple of weeks ago, alternative floats. But again, it's very targeted messaging to people, not trying to promote an activity that already has a lot of an area that has a lot of activity. Again, it's that dispersing. And that's it. It's complicated. It's, as I said earlier, it's not just marketing and promotion. It's development of assets, creating new experiences, and managing the destination and the assets in a way that creates a flatter economic impact and resident impact. We don't want to, and that's why I think that resident survey that we're going to start doing on a regular cycle is important. We don't want to be, and again, a lot of us live in Clackamas County. We don't want to negatively impact the livability for residents, but we want to create increased economic impact and opportunity for our business partners. And in a nutshell, that's it. That was a lot. Hopefully it wasn't too scattershot. I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has, and my contact information is there.
Thank you, Jim. Do you want to unshare your screen so we can see people and we can
try to do that?
If there are any questions for Jim, I might start by asking you if you know about how many people are employed in the tourism industry in Clackamas County, and how are they doing it? Is it full employment, or are they still struggling to find employees to work?
I am happy to answer that question. I'm desperately clicking on the little tabs up top and trying to figure out what will open something up that will
stop.
Allow me to stop sharing my screen.
There should be a. I don't know, Mark, if we take sharing rights away from him, will that bounce him back?
I clicked on the right thing. Whatever I did, I think I clicked on, or Mark clicked on the right thing. Somebody clicked on the right thing.
Okay, good enough.
Perfect. Thank you.
So
I haven't been hauled out by Oregon City Police Department yet. So apparently these alarms are just noisemakers. I wouldn't advocate just breaking into the county buildings, but I'm sure if you came in from outside and did something, somebody would probably show up.
So employment in the industry and
employment, it is so as I said, we were all laid off during pretty much all of us were laid off during COVID because all of our funding comes from transient lodging taxes. Nothing was coming in. And then, things were rebounded and we're back. But since we've come back and started re-engaging with partners, I've been back a little over a year now. All of the service sector industry is struggling to find trying to find workers. It used to kind of just be sometimes like the rec operators, because that was very seasonal stuff. But Gail, so we contract, for instance, we contract with the Mountain Hood Museum and Cultural Center, which is up in Government Camp, and the End of the Oregon Trail Interpretive Center in Oregon City to provide visitor information services. Gail at the End of the Oregon Trail is just, and she's actually on our board as well, but is just always like, do you have any idea how we can work on this? And I tune into our economic development department, has a roundtable partners group that gets together every few weeks, and workforce and employees continues to be a struggle. And I think the hospitality, tourism and hospitality industry has lagged the most. The COVID just sort of reset everybody's life expectations about what they're willing to do, where they're going to work. I've heard stories from our hotel partners. People come in and, if you critique what they've done or how they've done their job, they'll just leave and pick up and go someplace else. They just won't show up the next day. So recruitment is difficult. The Oregon Restaurant and Lodging Association has a focus on it. The U.S. Travel Association, I've been on webinars there where everybody's just like, what do we do? But you're competing with so many of those sort of frontline entry-level sectors that are also competing for the same potential workers. So it continues to be a struggle, Valerie.
Okay. Are there other questions that people might have? Do you know about overall, Jim, about how much money comes into Clackamas County from tourism? Is there an overall figure that?
Visitor spends. Yes, that information is there. It's gathered again because Travel Oregon has deeper pockets. They contract with an outfit called Dean Runyon that tracks that stuff. I don't have that, but I can get the recent visitor spend, and it always kind of lags because a lot of it goes off of some of them are algorithms, and they're not, it's not true accounting. A lot of it's just income that goes to business. So they've got, what they rely on is a lot of visa receipt activities that can be tracked, because if you're a business, you're cataloged under a certain sector. So I can follow up on that.
Right. And then I would also say, about how many people come here. Do you have a guesstimate? How many people come into Clackamas County?
I think that is probably in that same report. And okay. I should have had it in just a.
No, that's okay. It's just curious about the benefit to Clackamas County for the work that gets done. Rich has a question. You go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah, Jim. You had those three areas: Greater Portland and Willamette Valley, and the Mount Hood area.
Yeah.
Where does Oak Grove fit into that? Are we in the Willamette Valley?
You were in the Greater Portland region.
And who would they talk to you about? Something they wanted to explore, or is there somebody else who would be a contact?
From the region?
Yeah, correct.
Oh, so the region Travel Portland holds the. You have to do an RFP with Travel Oregon to find out, it's like who wants to act as the facilitator, if you will, the fiscal agent for the region. Travel Portland holds that contract with Travel Oregon to do that, and then Amanda. We meet with it's Clackamas County, Travel Portland, Washington County, and then Columbia County, and we meet with them monthly. And sometimes more if there's project-based things. We'll create a plan. It's Travel Oregon's money, so they kind of give you a menu of like the programs, what your spend plan is going to be for the funds that they give you. So we work with Travel Portland, those other counties, and create a plan on how to use those funds, how to program those funds. So yep, we talk. that
Yeah, I'm
gets to
thinking
that.
particularly of an arts organization, theater, and
Mhm.
want to know who they would contact
For a specific project.
for a specific project.
Yeah, I would say I'm in the development team, and we do have grants programs. So I'd say contact me.
Okay,
and
thank you.
I can find out if there's there's also well, I don't know what's going to happen. The county is with the Clackamas County Arts Alliance, and then there's a Regional Arts and Culture Coalition, and I don't know if that was all wrapped up in the county's budget process. That's sort of a buy-in. You have to buy into that. So there's a talk to me, and I'll try to connect you. I'd love to know what the project is, and then that's what we do is try to search around to find if there's other sources of funding, or if it's a
I'll have them
or if
write
it's
you. I
or if
got
it's a
your email address on your page.
perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Jim. You gave us a lot of information, and so we really appreciate your coming, and gives us a better sense of who comes to our county. And I for one, and I appreciate the fact that there's always this interplay between making sure that things don't get destroyed by guests that come in, so that they're not available to the community that lives here. So, we
Yeah.
appreciate your taking that into account.
Yeah. In my when I was in my laid off time, I ended up working for a state legislator who works on the Oregon coast for a session. I'd worked in the Capitol before, but as you can imagine, there's it's an area. There's certain areas that really do their economies do really rely on infusion of cash brought by visitors, but then there's you don't want to overburden them or create a nuisance situation. But with that said, there's some people who just don't want anybody from the outside, the outside area coming in. If you like a 7-grain bread and you can't find it during peak travel season, it's because all those visitors came and bought all my bread from the local grocery store. There's some people who just don't like the activity at all, but we try to thread that needle as best we can. So.
Well, again, thank you for being present with us.
Yeah, you bet.
All right. Well, on our agenda moving forward, we have Luart on there. Joseph Edge, who is our Luart chair, is not there, but not here tonight. But just a reminder that he said that there had not been a lot of activity, that there were recent approvals for the Kinsman Foundation project, that and Keith Kinsman came and talked to us last time about the moving offices into the historic building, and the other approvals went to the library. So other than that, there's not been a lot of land use and activity. So I guess if Joseph couldn't be here tonight, that was a good night to choose to not be here. Moving forward, Mark, do you want to talk to us about the groundbreaking event?
Yes, thank you, Valerie. I'm going to show you a couple of slides, but the first one here is that we have a groundbreaking that's taking place for the Oak Lodge Library and Park that is scheduled for Saturday, September 16th from 1 to 3 p.m. That'll take place at the Concord School. This is a groundbreaking event that's being hosted by the county, and there will be quite a few people from the county as well as the local community that will be there. The Oak Grove Community Council is sponsoring a ice cream social at the library groundbreaking, and that's being sponsored by both the Community Council as well as the Friends of the Oak Lodge Library and Historic Downtown Oak Grove. The estimated cost of that ice cream social is approximately $1,200, and we're expecting about 350 people to attend. So myself from the Community Council, I've been on the planning committee that Ellen Rogelin has set up for this event. And so we're expecting about 350 people to arrive or to be there that day, since it's on a Saturday. Many people will be able to come, both families and children, because they're not working or they're out of school. So the social right now is we have funding for about 3/4 of that, about $700 of that $1,200 has been provided by the Friends and the H-Dog group. The Community Council will also be providing a certain amount of that, but we're opening it to our membership to consider making a small donation to go towards the balance of the cost for this event. And so if you have an interest in doing some kind of small donation to that, $25, $50, whatever you feel comfortable with, we would encourage you to do that. And perhaps, Jane, you can in a moment tell us how people can donate money to the Community Council for that event. I bring up the cost of the $1,200 because we need to ask the membership to allow us to do this. Part of the cost for this event is a banner that we are having made that is would be used for our tent, or our booth there at the groundbreaking, as well as other opportunities that we have to put up a booth at, say, the Oak Grove Festival every year, and eventually at our in-person meetings. So we would have this banner, and this is the design that's being considered right now, that shows our logo for the Community Council, and includes a QR code that if you scan this, that sends you to our webpage. Then we also have our webpage information located down at the bottom. So I wanted to bring that, make that presentation to everyone and ask for a kind of a vote of confidence from the membership that we can proceed with the ice cream social with the cost that I've identified so far. So I think as far as the cost to the Community Council, it's in the $300 to $400 range for us to spend to fill, for this portion of the ice cream social. So with that, I'd like to ask for someone to put a vote out, or however we want to do that, Valerie.
Just before we go to that, a couple of things I'd like to say that we have been desperate as a community council to figure out how to do outreach and how to engage people in the work of our council. And so we were given money from Oak Lodge Water Services very specifically to help with outreach. And so we see the ice cream social, the reason that has come up to participate, because it will be an opportunity to gather people together in person and do something nice at the same time. So this is actually, although we have other sponsors, which we're really grateful to have, this is an idea that has come from the Oak Grove community for the purpose of doing outreach. And the banner is another piece of that. If you have the
Well, now it's working, but it was
opportunity to be at the Oak Grove Festival, you would know that we were really struggling with signage that day. We know that we had a banner at one time and that has disappeared. So having a banner in a stand will allow us again to do good outreach so that people know who we are and we have the opportunity to share information at different events. So I want to make really clear that that's how we're hoping to put this together. And so with that, we can entertain a motion from the floor, or if there's other questions that people have, now is the time.
I'd be happy to make that motion that we approve expenses for the ice cream social and for the banner.
And
we have a second?
I will second that motion.
There discussion, questions from the community? No thoughts, no questions. I have a question, Mark. Is there going to be non-dairy ice cream?
Yes, there would be both dairy and non-dairy ice cream there.
That had to do with my vote and whether I could do. Bob, your hand is up.
Just a quick question. I kind of agreed with all of what you guys have said, but this is also Jennings Lodge's library, and I haven't heard a word about the folks at Jennings Lodge CPO being brought in or ask about it, or if they wanted to contribute. Are they on board, or have they not been contacted? Just a question.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Bob. I have reached out to the few folks in Jennings Lodge. Grover Bornfield, is a part of the Jennings Lodge CPO. He's unfortunately in Europe, so unable to reach out to him. But we have reached out to a few folks in Jennings Lodge to ask them to participate. We've also been kind of leaning on Ellen Rogland to reach out to other community members that we feel should be included in this. And so she has been doing that. So I'm not sure who else she might have reached out to. There are a few people that are involved in the Friends that are Jennings Lodge residents. So we do know that there is some participation from them.
Did we reach out to Ed Gronke as the CPO chair? Was he one of the people on the list, Mark?
He is not, but I can reach out to him. I'll just need to find his contact information.
Great. Thanks, Bob. That's a good piece that we need to include people if we can from there. I know they're not meeting as regularly as we are, so it makes it a little trickier. Tom.
Is Jane going to put up the information about making donations?
Well,
for people who want to make donations?
Tom, I can do that here just by saying that our accounts are held at the On Point Community Credit Union, which is right on the corner of Oak Grove Boulevard and McLaughlin. Anyone who walks in there and says, I would like to donate whatever, this check, cash, however you do it, to the Oak Grove Community Council, they will easily find our account and our number, and that's simple. Otherwise, I will put my address in the chat box, and any amount you would like to send to me can be directed to our account at the bank.
That'd be great. Okay. Thank you.
Certainly. Other questions before we call for a vote? Joyce.
I don't have a question, but I think it's a great idea, and I'm very excited about the project. So that's all.
Thank you. I think Ricky has a question.
Ricky.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly about voting because I don't know what the history really is of the council with this kind of project, spending money on something like this, and how you've spent money before, and again, just some context, I guess, for voting. I think it's a good idea, but I don't know very much about how you've spent money in the past. Ricky, I can answer some of your questions. One is that according to our bylaws, you will be able to vote at the next meeting. It's after 3 meetings. But also, we recently donated money to the United Methodist Church and to the historic downtown Oak Grove as recently as Halloween for their trick or trunk social. It was a donation for candy for a trick or treat function for children. And we've frequently donated money to the Backpacks organization. They provide food for children at the Oak Grove School to take home during the weekends. And so it's been pretty regular that the community council has donated funds to some extent to different activities. This one in particular would be our own activity. It's not that we're donating to another group. This is something that will be there in our own little tent, advertising that here's the community council, have a free ice cream cone. So it's a little more personal this time.
Thank you. That's actually very helpful. Also, the clarification about voting next time, not this time, but learning that this is not donating to something else, but really focused on the council. That was very helpful. Thank you.
Wayne, I saw your hand. You're muted, Wayne.
No, I'm just assuming that, let's say that the wonders of wonders occur and you get more money than you spent. I mean, that would be a wonderful kind of thing to happen. I don't know that you didn't have experience in that manner. And so I don't know how you came up with the magic number of 350. Maybe there'll be 400 people there. So any thoughts on what's that's, do you have any greater expectations, or is that just guess?
I think talking with the county and some of the other people who are organizing this, we kind of based it on the groundbreaking for the Gladstone Library here that happened earlier this summer. And that happened during the day, during the week, during the middle of the day. There was about 150, 175 people that attended that event. A lot of it also has to do with how well it's advertised. And there's a pretty ambitious advertising campaign that the county is going to be doing as far as media releases, sending out postcards to local residents. Ourselves will be including announcements about this on our Facebook page, as well as the Friends and Historic Downtown Oak Grove will be also doing the same. We found social media be a really good way to get the word out. And for people to, one of the best things you can do is if you see that post is to like it and share it with somebody else. And that really gets the word out a lot. So we're really relying on a lot of good advertising to get folks to show up, because we really want to see this as a community celebration. So it's not about the numbers, it's just about getting, letting people know about it, and for us to celebrate something that's really been in the works for 20, 25 years. And we just hope that as many folks can make it as they can. And we thought ice cream is not a bad thing to bring a few people to the park and to enjoy a little bit of time together to get to know each other better.
So will it be like a news release that's like I'd like to get a news release to give to some of our folks here at Willamette View, or maybe you're already doing that, I'm not sure.
There is a news release that's coming from the county that Ellen shared with me today as a draft, and that's being revised, and she will be sending that out as a news release here this coming week. And we'll certainly include that news release in from our Facebook page. I'll be sure to post that news release on our Facebook page. So if you do follow our Facebook page at all, you'll be able to see that news release.
And if we gather more money from people, then that will cover it. I mean, that's a great thing. I mean, one of the goals that we have had as board is to try to figure out how we can do some fundraising and have a larger pot of money so that we can do the kinds of activities that lift up the Oak Grove Community Council, help us to sponsor events that bring the community together. We've talked about things like putting up signage that says, here you are in Oak Grove, other kinds of things like that. But we have not been able to, we haven't had the money, and people have not, we used to pass around a donation jar at our in-person meeting. So we're working on this, but it's kind of exciting. And I mean, we're thrilled that we have a partnership with the Oak Lodge Water Services about outreach, because we also help do outreach for them. We reach the same clientele where we're working together as a community. So it's a community project. So if we pay for everything, I know the other thing that we had talked about, they will have toppings. You can get a free scoop of ice cream, but if you want a bunch of toppings, you're going to have to pay for it. So if we get a bunch of money, extra money, then we can create a pot of money for people that, families with children that maybe that come and they want to put something on it and don't have the funds or whatnot. So yeah, we'll put it to good use. Other questions, or shall we call for the vote? Okay, the easiest way to do this would be to say, if there are people that object to us going to doing the banner and the ice cream social, or if you would put that in the chat, send that to Jane as and she'll keep track of that. And we're doing it that way because I didn't hear a lot of negative conversation here. So we're, we're hopeful that it's a positive. But if people do feel strongly that this is not a good idea, please put that in the chat and send it to Jane Civiletti.
Shall we wait for a Jeopardy countdown, Valerie?
What?
I wonder if we should wait for a Jeopardy countdown.
Yeah, well, let's just give people a second to think about that. If you think it's not a good idea.
See, Jolene's dancing along with me with the Jeopardy countdown.
Anything showing up, Jane?
No, there isn't anything showing up. Sounds like we agreed to fund some ice cream and a lovely sign, which I think will be very, very useful in the future, as it's a easy to put up standalone sign. Correct, Mark?
That's right. It's a retractable banner that fits into a case that has a handle and a case and a cover, and be easy to store and not get damaged.
Which has gone missing was something that was on vinyl with grommets, and to put it up somewhere you had to bring your own attachments and ropes or something like that.
All right. I think we're moving forward. So have a agreement on that. Great. So we have committee reports. Oh, yeah, Heidi, do you want to go ahead and make that announcement about we have the afternoon event that we're talking about, the ice cream social from 1 to 3, but there's a morning event. So Heidi, go ahead.
Yeah, perfect. And I think you actually sent it out to your distribution list already, because I think I saw that. So thank you very much. So if you already signed up for Oak Grove Community Council emails, you should have received this announcement that Oak Lodge Water Services will be hosting a pop-up community event at Awakening Coffee regarding emergency preparedness. So excuse me. So come and get a free cup of coffee on us, and pick up some good information on being prepared for emergencies, especially as it relates to water. And anyway, so yeah, that's in the morning, and then you'll just go over to Concord in the afternoon.
So we get our coffee in the morning at Awakenings. And I believe that event is from 8 until noon or 8:30 until noon.
I think 7:30 to noon.
7:30 to noon. You can go get your cup of coffee on the water services, and then just pop over and get your ice cream in the afternoon. Someplace in between, maybe you'll have food. I don't know.
Exactly. Just get on your bike. Yeah.
Mark, you had something you wanted to add here? Your hand is up.
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask Heidi if you would speak just for a minute about the fish Save the Water campaign in September.
Yeah, so every about this time of year, it's Irrigation Done, Fish on the Run campaign that we support as it relates to so our water comes from Clackamas River. This is our drinking water source. We pump it from Clackamas River. But as you can imagine, the hotter our summers are, water starts getting low in our resources, and so we try to start campaigning for shutting down irrigation early, by September. Try to, and hopefully it is cooling off a little bit. Thinking about not over irrigating lawns or gardens and whatnot to keep water in the Clackamas River for the fish runs. That is the campaign. So yeah, you can get you can sign up, and they'll send you like a little lawn flag sign that you put in your yard, and that's it. It's just more of a water conservation effort campaign that we are trying to support.
Great, thank you. Jane, your hand was up, and then Rich.
Yes, so regarding the emergency preparedness event with the coffee from the water services, maybe it'd be good if we actually gave the location of Awakenings Coffee. It is on Oak Grove Boulevard between River Road and Rupert, actually much closer to Rupert on River Road. So that's where the coffee and emergency preparedness with the CERT group will be.
Yes, thank you, Jane. Yes.
Rich, your hand is up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I didn't know there was a lieutenant here from the fire department. And I want to make sure we didn't miss him if he has something.
Yeah, we'll get him. Yes, indeed. Anything else on those events? I think Jim, you have your hand up. You're muted.
Sorry, I was staring at my where's my reactions? Take my reactions down. I was looking at my other screen while you were talking about ice cream, and now I think I want to hit ice cream on the way back home. But they used to be Baskin Robbins. They're on McLaughlin. They're in that little strip mall. They're by the Fred Meyer gas station. They're locally owned. Now they're Neighborhood Creamery.
Yes.
I don't know where you're planning on sourcing your ice cream, but I'm wondering if they could do like a.
That's where we're getting it.
That's where you're getting it. Okay,
Yep.
perfect. I'm wondering if they'd be willing to be. We were present at the Orange Line opening, along with a lot of other vendors. It was a super hot day, and we were serving snow cones. So, Mountain Hood snow cones. We came up with something. We just ordered snow cone machines and the ice and everything, and got some flavors. And we were calling like mountain berry, huckleberry, something like with the name flavor. I wonder if they'd be willing to like make a flavor that sort of goes with like the community, like even if it's just a slight tweak. So it's something different and unique. That's what we do in the tourism when we're telling stories. It's you're always just trying to uniqueify something so it has a different story to it.
Yeah,
I don't know where they source it from, or if there's an option to be like,
they
we're gonna do
some
this.
of their own. They make some of their own ice cream there. And
Maybe
then they source it, but we can get them to do like Oak Grove extra nuts or something. Like that.
Is that a reflection on a group here, or?
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, I was just looking up trying to find out where that was my idea, is like trying to come up with like a special flavor.
A great idea. I'll talk to them about doing that. Yeah. And something non-dairy that would be interesting and exciting. Yeah.
Oh, there's great non-dairy ice cream. So, so we're moving into committee reports and community reports, but I do want to call upon the fire district representative who's here to see if there's anything he's able to tell us or information tonight.
All right. Hi, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Good. You can hear me okay? We got some, well, thanks for having me, first of all. We got some monthly talking points put out by the district. I just want to kind of go over from you guys all with you guys all. First off, we wanted to thank everybody and all the communities that went out and voted and supported our emergency service levy that passed. And we're working hard to expand our services all across the board to everybody. With this levy, we're going to be able to upstaff a total staff of 62 firefighters for the levy. This first year, we're going to be hiring 24 firefighters. That's first academy starts in September. It's going to increase 5 stations in January 2024. The stations are going to be 1, 8s, 14s, 15s, and 19s. You'll see a little bit of reflection in our community here at Station 3 with 1s and 8s being in the North Battalion. But the goal for year 2 has not been the objectives haven't been shared yet. They're not necessarily trying to pinpoint it down, but I'm assuming that in the near future we could see a 4th firefighter added to our engines here. Maybe not in year 2, maybe year 3, 4, or 5, but With that being said, again, thanks for everybody that went out and supported us. That's a big thanks to everybody. During the month of June, the fire district had 2,445 calls. Halfway through the year so far, we're about 1,000 incidents more than we were last year. So we're just kind of getting busier and more calls. And most of those calls we see are EMS calls. On July 1st, Clackamas Fire began a full contract service with Sandy Fire District. For the past several years, we've been doing partial contracts with training and logistics. But now with this contract services, voted on by both agencies from the board of directors, we're staffing Sandy Fire out there, and their members have joined us here at Clackamas Fire as well. Backyard burning has been officially closed until fall. I'm sure everybody's pretty aware of the increasing fire dangers that we're seeing. So we're telling people just be cautious if you have any burning to do. In July, the fire district's safety focus is going to be on water safety, pedestrian safety, and then defensible spaces. Defensible spaces are between your house and the fuels for wildland fires. So keep a nice green space between you and the trees and large shrubs around your house. Water safety, we always promote caution in and around water, especially rivers and shallow waters, and I encourage everybody to use life jackets. And the pedestrian safety with summer, with increased outdoor activities, remind drivers to be aware of pedestrians, and especially late August when people start going back to school. Another talking point we have here, I just wanted to thank Jane for having us come out to your guys' block party on the August 13th. And thank you guys for having us. So before I turn my video off, you guys have any questions for me?
No, and we'd like to thank you very much, Lieutenant Brooke, for bringing the crew and the truck out. The kids and the adults really enjoyed the tour.
Good. Glad to hear that.
Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for that update.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
I think as you talk about defensible space around the house, anybody who looked at the fire in Lahaina and saw the house with the red roof, the red house that survived, and know that they had a metal roof and they had done mitigation all the way around the house. They didn't do it for fire. They did it to prevent termites from getting to the wooden house. And that house stood.
That's good.
Pretty important information. So I hear that. Now I will always see that picture when I hear people talk about defensible space. That house survived. Anyway, are there any other committee reports tonight? CERT, library, parks.
Yeah, I have the library at park. Just to add on to this event that's coming up that Mark's been talking about. Because the Concord site is actually going to be multiple amenities, it's going to be a fabulous central place for people living here. The community center is going to be the last part that gets developed, but the park and the library will be developed more or less at the same time. Mark, correct me if I'm wrong. But so the groundbreaking also celebrates a new park, and we're going to get a splash pad. It will be the first splash pad in our Parks District. And there's also going to be a fabulous nature play area for kids that's also got some inclusive play elements. And it's that's going to be developed in a couple of phases, I think. So there's a lot to celebrate: a library and a park and a nature play area and a splash pad.
Okay, so I might be the only ignorant person here, but what is a splash pad?
Sometimes called a spray park or a splash pad or something similar. It's where they have a concrete area with spigots, or I don't know what you call them. Some I'll call it a spigot. Anyway, water comes up out of the concrete, and and anybody, kids mostly, but I suppose anybody can splash around in it. And I just think it's one of the coolest things. That the first time I heard about it was a long time ago. That was in San Jose, California, but I just thought, wow, what a cool thing. So
yeah, I think Salmon Street Springs in downtown Portland has.
Oh yes, many spray parks in different places, and then we're going to get ours now. Our first.
Sounds wonderful. I have one update of those of you who came to our meeting last month, and we had folks a presentation with the Courtney Complete Street project, except the main presenter was not able to be present, and so Carmen Ruin, who did the presentation, was actually the outreach person, and she meticulously wrote down everybody's questions that she could not answer. So all of those questions and answers were sent out when we sent the agenda out last week. So I just want to highlight that so that if people didn't get a chance to click on that and look at it, the whole document is there so that any questions that came up can be answered. Our next meeting will be, the next board meeting will be in October, but our next general meeting will be September 27th, and we will be having a presentation from the Bike and Pedestrian Planning Committee. I know that's not the exact title, but I was trying to, they will come and talk about all the planning that's happening around bikeways and pedestrian pathways in the county and in our area. I hope that at least some of you were able to go online and fill out the survey that we sent out last week, closed today, that did look at bike and pedestrian safety in our area. Any other questions or announcements or input from people tonight before we adjourn? Joyce, I see your hand up.
So I just wanted to encourage the Walk Bike Committee to really consider the best ways to bring the community to the new library park place. And I did do the survey, and I did it for our area because it was overwhelming. It's too much. I am confused about the Walk Bike Committee and the list that Joseph told me about in 2021 regarding a short list of projects that are funded in a way. I need to talk to somebody about how those things are funded that he was talking about, and how is that different from this long list of things that the Walk Bike Committee is considering for the plan that's due in the winter.
In my understanding, that there's a couple of different things going on here. The list that we were looking at had in particular the sense of safety issues on the streets, not building new pathways, but safety, like crossing and sidewalks and blinking lights and that kind of thing. For the most part, and that's why the list was so long. It would have been helpful to have some explanation about how to go through that survey, and so it felt pretty overwhelming when people looked at it.
I just took it as it was for my neighborhood and was like, okay, well, this is all I know about. This is all I deals with.
And Joseph is on the committees, and he's the best person to actually talk to about that. But I do know that there have been other projects like building new pathways, etc., that are part of a different plan. So
okay, that makes sense. And then there was something about the funding for this shorter list of prioritized projects was secured through contractors who get to have an exemption on their sidewalk that they don't have to put in because there's ditches everywhere and it doesn't make sense to do it, or anyway. So I just want to know more about it. So I'll be here next month.
Good. That's the best time.
And have my questions. But I also wanted to say that I and Jim Bong, who lives on my street also, are going to attend the Clackamas County Commissioners meeting on the 14th at 6 o'clock. to discuss the long overlooked problems on Rothy regarding school crossing and traffic control that has never been addressed. And the school district said that they don't do anything about traffic unless it's a new build. And anyway, that was like preposterous to me. And nobody wants to really answer questions about anything that's going to happen there. There is a woman in the neighborhood that is talking with the school district about, really, are we not doing anything about this? So we'll see what happens there. But anyway, Jim and I are going to do this flyer. We're going to take it around the neighborhood, and hopefully we'll get to recruit some people to go with us and speak about.
Okay, and if you get a chance, Joyce, and you have a flyer and you want to send a copy to me, we'll see that we get it out to people.
Okay, and then I also thought about putting it on Nextdoor. That's kind of a funny little social media thing, but I thought I would put it on there anyway. I've done that before for Oak Grove stuff or whatever, but yeah.
Good, thanks for being involved.
All right.
Anita, a question or a comment?
Yeah, thank you for bringing up the idea of not just safe routes to schools, but safe routes to parks. And currently, being able to get to this new site at Concord needs some work because it's not that easy to turn in, get back out and all as it needs to be. Another thing, I got an email, because I did the survey, I got an email saying the deadline has been extended till the 28th.
Oh, great.
Oh, I'll let my neighbors know because I sent it to some people.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I mean, that's how it is in my memory anyway. And there are places to write in on the survey your ideas, even if it's not covered in the survey. So you can say something about safe routes to parks.
Great.
I did.
Thanks, Anita. All right. Well, with that, without any other comments or questions, I think we will adjourn.
Thank you.